Ladies and gentlemen, I suppose we can start because I'm the last one in this track. Thank you all very much for attending, or better to say, for staying so long. I see that this has been exhausting and that only the bravest remained. My name is Bruno Banelli, and first of all, I would like to extend my gratitude to organizers of this event for accepting my application, and to Mr. Branko Zečević from Pointer. That's the company that is a bronze sponsor of this event. His motivation was absolutely without precedent, and without him I wouldn't be here or even show you the presentation. My background is both in development and in business, so I can say that I have best of both worlds. That often allows me to see some specters of the whole product better than the people from the business, or better from people exclusively in development. So I will try to be as short but verbose as possible to give you an insight of today's presentation. It is basically something that we all have, something that makes us special, something that we were born with. This is our uniqueness and this is our individuality. It is something that makes us different from the animals, and it is something that gives us the opportunity to develop, to extend, to provide new ideas, new information, and to create beautiful products that we have at the moment. However, that particular authenticity has a burden where you can use somebody's name, or you can use somebody's perspective to use it in all the wrong and all the malicious events. So where does this authenticity comes enforced in open source? From the key aspect of open source is something that is limited by the license you provide, but it also gives the complete and free usability to users that would like to have your open source components within their product, or use your complete product as an open source solution. So you might ask yourself, how can we control what is being deployed as the open source? I am aware that most of you are now screaming internally hashes or some other ways of ensuring the integrity of provided open source. However, it often seems to be insufficient to provide the complete control and to provide the authenticity of something you have delivered. There is also a problem of verification, where that particular hash also comes into the question, because something that comes from your mouth can be pretty easily verified, because I have introduced myself, although I haven't showed you my identity card, but you will have to trust my word on it. However, when somebody sends something through the internet, it might or might not prove to be as valid as it seems. There are several examples I will demonstrate later. Of course, motivation is we would like to live in a happy and merry world where everything is fine and nothing bad happens. However, within the next few slides, I will also demonstrate several examples where this is not as it seems to be. And finally, when you have your name and when you have your statement and when you present something somewhere, then you are building trust. That trust allows you to implicitly gain popularity and reputation towards your clients. However, once again, can be maliciously used in order to provide a very certain aspect of malicious usage of somebody's already built-in authority. So, as the old Albert Einstein said, don't trust everything you see on the internet. I mean, who is laughing? Why should that be funny? Albert Einstein, is a single most popular and progressive scientist in the whole 20th century, winner of Nobel Prize in 1921. So why wouldn't you trust this guy that you shouldn't trust anything that's on the internet? Well, because we can't really be sure if Albert said this thing. Why can't we be sure? Because first of all, he's dead. Second of all, although he is a great scientist and physicist, I don't think he had such an extended vision. So something is missing. Something in this picture is critically missing in order to verify that our dear Albert said what he'd said. What is behind it? Always science and always mathematics. If there are any old students from this faculty now, I'm sure that they cried a lot under Matan 1 and 2, that were very popular mathematical courses in the beginning of this century on this faculty. So we are basing our trust in a digital sense through the cryptography. You are aware that cryptography was something that was primarily used during the World War II, at least in its digital sense, where you had encrypted or ciphered messages that went through both sides of the war. By designing new computers and by enhancing their speed, we created something more flexible, something more efficient, and that's a public key cryptography. That is basically an essence of today's validity of exchanging messages or providing verification from the sources you are giving to your clients. Something that we all are aware at the moment is the fact that Croatia is not only independent, at least in some sort of bureaucracy or political sense, but it has something above it, and that's a European Union. Luckily, as much as that European Union is making certain burdens to our business and making our life a bit harder than it should be, there are some great stuff. Particularly this regulation number 910 from 2014 is a vast document of 454 articles and 4 appendices that pretty clearly regulates how this part of digital authenticity should work and what are the prerequisites in order for it to be enforced in the business. So this is a short note about how stuff work in European Union, but the more important part of this slide should be what can it be used for. Primarily, you are aware of the electronic government system that is currently employed in Republic of Croatia. It is called e-Građani or e-Citizens. It's a great system where you can do lots of stuff that you had to wait in queues and deal with pretty nervous clerks behind the bars. This can be done electronically. How? By verifying or authenticating yourself through the internet. This is basically something that European Union created for citizens and for small and medium enterprises, particularly for citizens, as I've said, filling taxes, student mobility, opening bank accounts, using something that they called only once principle, that is a new European Union buzzword. Or if you are small or medium enterprise, you can use it for a variety of professional services. You're aware that there was the quickest finger through the e-Citizen for the tender for EU grants that also used the same electronic authenticity. Transporting sectors or online retails or everything related to financial sector. Now, this is all nice, but I haven't really showed you anything And now I'd like to come to this part. There is a company in Croatia that's called AKD. They are the guys that basically provides all the identities that you currently have with you, ranging from your identity cards, passports, driving license, etc., etc. There is a bunch of very, very obscure standards that their electronic ID, which is compliant with the stuff from the previous slide I have showed you. So it has compliance, it has certifications, and it has a very particular purpose. Not only you have level 4 identity on the e-citizens system, but you can also do other bunch of stuff that can help you maintain your authenticity and veracity within the open source or in your general business correspondence and communication. So, seeing is believing. I did a scan, but here it is. Wow, it's a card. Yeah, I know. But a very, very powerful card that, for example, allows me in particular, just slide it in, allows me in particular to authenticate myself both as myself and both as my company. So if I wish to fill my company taxes, I can do it through this card. And if I wish to fill some taxes regarding my craft, then I can also do it as a personal name. Now, before I come to the open source examples I wish to show you, this will be a bit interactive. Now you might ask yourself, why all this? Does it really matter? Is it relevant? For those of you who are locals, and for those of you who aren't, I will repeat the story. You might have witnessed that several months ago, the city of Đakovo had a very interesting situation where some random guy from the internet sent an email to their Ministry of Finance asking for 50,000 euros. Naturally, the guy was very benevolent. He took that email, he wrote the address, the bank account number, and then made somebody very, very happy. What I can assure you that this is not the sole problem I'm talking about now. I'm pretty certain that the guy who received the money didn't use them to feed the poor or to help some sick children. He probably used it for drugs, people trafficking, or any other sort of criminal. So that's a bit of a problem. If there was a compliance standard within our local municipalities or government where you would be required to have an electronic authentication in order to send email, receive email, or verify the sender or receiver, this would be very easily avoided. Also, from time to time, you can read in the newspaper that there are emails regarding Croatian financial agency asking for some money or Ministry of Internal Affairs asking for some money. Naturally, these are all scams. But as we know, people really, really, really do pay money to these scams. So, next to the open source examples, first one is Libre Office. For those of you who were brave enough to participate on this event from the morning, you might have heard the Libre Office chief talking about his great product. So it's a single most popular open office productivity office suite. And it has a great support for what I'm about to show you today. So now I'll just switch from my presentation to the Libre Office. Okay, so we have a standard blank sheet where we want to write something. This can be our memo from the company, or this can be a love letter to the girl we cheated on. Nevertheless, the point is that if we write something, then we would like to ensure that this document, when being sent somewhere, will not be tampered with and disallow any possible modifications that are usually done in the malicious way. We can do it by using digital signatures in Libre Office. Okay, this is on the wrong monitor. I would just like to make a disclaimer. You remember when Bill Gates showed his scanner on Windows 98 and everything crashed, so I have no fear. As you can see, both of my certificates are here. I will use the lower one in order to make the signature, and I have to provide my personal identity number, which I predefined previously in order to make it valid. Okay, now my document is signed, and as you can see, the document is digitally signed and the signature is valid. Now, this is an interesting part. I haven't touched anything in the document yet. If I do the following, as you can see, the document is no longer valid due to the reason it has been modified. This is a very, very interesting message to somebody who receives my email with my offer, where he can be sure that none of my employees tampered with the offer and lowered the price or upgraded the price or whatever. The good thing about this, and those of you who really, really like open source, I suggest you close your eyes because I'm about to show you something that you probably don't want to see, but the thing we saved in Libre Office is absolutely readable in Microsoft's Word. That's pretty important because as much as we make advocacy for open source, that is sometimes not possible. Let me just see if this will work. Okay, as you can see, the thing I signed with Libre Office is completely readable in Microsoft Office, and it will display the very same signature. Let me just demonstrate this to you. Here it is. So, as you can see, the document is valid, it has a signature type, and it hasn't been tampered with in the meanwhile. Okay, let me just try to get back. So, this is so much about Libre Office, but as I was saying, we have an issue with electronic communication. That electronic communication is not always problematic because somebody should really take into consideration sanity and not making 50,000 euros payment towards John Doe from who knows where. But you can take this example of Thunderbird as well within the aspects of authorizing your GitHub pulls or pushes or any other version controlling. You would like to have another layer of authenticity. Now, let me show you how it works in Thunderbird. Actually, I will show you how it doesn't work in Thunderbird because I didn't manage to completely master the procedure, but the point should be that you simply, after writing your email, decide that you will digitally sign it. And something should happen. Oh, it did. It really did. I don't know if you can see this icon here. It basically means your email is digitally signed. Please don't ask me to send it because from some reason it doesn't really work. However, this is all very nice, although it doesn't solve any particular problems from the other aspect of my business, and that is development. So if I wish to make a software that would provide me a very special layer of authenticity, where I find passwords unacceptable, not due to the fact that they are not strong enough, although a dear colleague from few presentations before me who has those very, very powerful high-performance computing machines might disagree with me, but sufficiently long password will remain sufficiently long due to mathematics and combinatorics. However, it is easily taken away because all it takes is a fist and a little persuasion and you will get the password. However, if you have the card and you have a PIN, you can simply take it away with you and nobody can make any commits or any changes to anything you would like to have secured. Lately, we have switched from some very, very obscure things such as assembly or C in my company towards Golang, which is a statically typed compiled programming language designed at Google under permissive free software licenses. Basically, it is C on steroids, and it works absolutely perfectly and flawlessly. It is very, very supported by the open source community, and this is exactly the reason why I had absolutely no problem at all in finding pieces of code that would allow me to, well, let me just clear this, which would allow me basically to make a primary assumption that I can diagnose my smart card reader on my laptop. It also works perfectly on Linux. That I can read some attributes from my smart card and that I can simply disengage it where I wish. Now, naturally, it is only a matter of skilled development, how you will utilize it later and find a valid application in your development. So I won't bug you with the code, but the point being should be the following. Oh yeah, it also compiles very fast, that's why we like it. So we have read certain attributes from the card. You don't really want to know what they mean, and we are being politely asked from the software to remove the card, and after we do it, it's finished. Just to make sure that I didn't lie to you, I will do it once again with the card in my hand, and hopefully it should, yeah, write absolutely nothing. So it really works. It really works, and it really works very, very fine. Okay, do you really need it? That is a great question. Yes, you definitely do need it. I have given you an example of City of Đakovo. I have given you an example of people who were scammed by fake FINA or by fake MUP. And I can literally give you thousands of daily-based examples where something like this should be nice, cool, and needed. But I will make one from my personal experience. Some time ago, it was Friday afternoon, me and my development team decided that we need an SSL certificate for an IP address. Don't ask me why we decided we want an SSL certificate for the IP address. And after some search, we found out that it can be obtained. Unfortunately, it has to be an organization-validated SSL certificate. That basically means that you cannot issue it within minutes, and we needed it yesterday. So that's where this thing came in handy. Let me show you what we did. So I've contacted Komodo and asked them if we can get the certificate as soon as possible. They said that it shouldn't be a problem. Just give me a second. However, they require verification from us. As I've said, it was Friday afternoon, and it was literally impossible to get any governmental valid document that might be of use to us in order to get that certificate within their working hours. However, we took the active expert from Croatian Commercial Court Registry and did the following thing. We digitally signed it with the qualified signature. We also did the same thing on our memo because they required verification of our fixed phone number in order they could give us a call. And just that's a machine thing. We just had to write down some code from the phone call. But basically this was very, 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 very useful because we were able to take unofficial copy from court register, give our official stamp, give our official signature, give our official verification that this is indeed the document we stand behind, and it was absolutely fully accepted by our friends at Komodo. So not only in order to prevent fraud, in order to prevent scam, in order to save money, sanity, documents, reputation, or whatever, you can, I apologize, you can also use it in order to make signatures that will allow you to communicate with international companies and have their full acceptance for the stuff you provide. So, since we are getting a bit late, I have several more minutes in which I don't intend to bug you anymore. If you have any questions, please shoot. If not, I will thank you all and let you drink your deserved coffee finally.